I realized we promised one quick thing.
Sorry, I thought we were each doing 5.
No, we are, but I'm making a joke about how
you do it again.
we're yappers. I'm just making a joke about how we are just yapping our little hearts out.
Start the joke over. I ruined it.
No, it's perfect. I think that one can stay.
Welcome to One Quick Thing, where in each episode we'll give you one quick thing you can do to support your local community.
We've been talking about doing this podcast for about a month now, and so I've been thinking about, as I'm having all these conversations in daily life, I've been thinking about it through the lens of this sort of one quick thing, because everybody is feeling the weight of this moment, and everybody is feeling that like almost desperation of just like, what do? I can't do anything. And for me, focusing on something like this has actually helped me, and focusing on really like making note of like, what are the things I do daily that, or as part of my regular life, that are making a positive difference. Yeah. I can't change the world overnight, but there are things I can do that make me feel like I'm a better member of the planet.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's my goal.
Yeah. And it makes you feel better about yourself too. And when you feel better about yourself and more confident, then you have like kind of more energy and more intellectual space to kind of take in this information and view it through a different lens.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot of people come onto the show as well who are going to give us a lot of experts, a lot of people who are going to give us great ideas that we can add to our own personal lists as well. But like, if you're listening, I'd also love to hear from listeners, you know, as we go through our lists of things that we're doing, what are things that you're doing in your daily life that we could learn from, that we can amplify? Because as parents, we're tired, right? Mm-hmm. So like, as we record this, I don't even know if I want to be honest, but it's January 13th. And we'll see when we actually get it out, because we planned to record this like 3 weeks ago, but we had 10 days of sickness and then another 7 days of sleep regression. Yeah. And so it's just, the reality is like everything gets put on pause when you have a child, especially like a young child, and there's so little you can do. And so at the end of the day, it's like I sit down for my evening doom scroll and I'm just like, what the hell?
Right. What could I also be doing that makes me less fearful?
Yeah, exactly.
And connecting with other people.
Yeah. So what are some of the, want to kick us off? What's one of the things what do you do that makes you less fearful and connected with people?
All right. So the first one that I have is actually so super easy. It'll take 1 second. And what I do is I subscribe to the newsletters of nonprofits that work in the area so that I can keep up to date on what they're doing, when they need volunteers, when they need donations, you know, if they're going to be at an event. And I really love kind of being in the know on the organizations that are right around here that really are doing work on the ground.
That is such a good idea. And I think that I wouldn't have even thought of that, because I would just be like, oh, I'm going to go follow them on social media. But like, especially in this era where a lot of people, I think, are trying to navigate maybe away from meta platforms. I like that inbox strategy, because it's coming right in. You can pin it for look at it later. You can star, you know, those senders, so you always make sure to kind of see it, take a quick skim. I don't even think to sign up for newsletters, but that's a great idea.
Right. And I mean, sometimes you'll go to their website and you'll get that pop-up and you just immediately press the X button without even thinking about it.
Yes.
But with certain organizations, like I'll click the X button and then I'm like, oh, I got to refresh or go on an incognito mode so I can put my email back in. And I just find that it's really helpful, because they are doing so much work and they're letting you know about other things happening in the community, even with other organizations that they're pairing up with. And it just really creates this larger community.
That's such a good point. And I think sometimes when that information comes into us the first time, when you're learning about a new nonprofit, you're not maybe in the right headspace to be thinking about that kind of thing. And so really like subscribing. And so it's coming to you when you can kind of control on your time. Like, when do you actually want to think about this? For me, that's how I'm thinking about it, is like,
yeah.
So if you're at an event or something, it's like, okay, let's make sure I'm on this list. And so that way they get back in touch with me later and I don't lose track of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm also really impressed that you're doing this without writing any of this down. This is really trusting your brain. I'm really impressed.
I mean,
I lost 80% of my brain capacity after giving birth, and it has not returned.
Well, so I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how there's this saying that I cannot translate into English from Chinese, but it essentially translates to pregnancy makes you stupid for 3 years.
Yes.
And it just resonates so deeply. And truly, I'm talking about this on the podcast. This past spring, I feel like right around when my daughter turned 3, all of the sudden it's like my brain woke up and I could like remember things better and I was creative again. Like I feel genuinely like a different person just because I went from that 80% to 100% of my brain.
That's amazing. You're an inspiration to me and hopefully all of our listeners that someday your brain will come back.
Yes.
Because not everybody says that, but it's nice that it does happen, right? Sometimes.
Yes. Well, and it's a muscle that you have to exercise. So when I like felt that, it's like kind of like when you can feel your muscles atrophying when you're like sick and you're laying for a few days, like all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, there's like this extra little tingle here. And I was like, what can I do with it? And so I just started writing. I was like, this is what I have to do because, that's what I would do before. Yeah. And I was like, what would old me do right now if I felt that inspiration? And so, that old you is in there.
I love that. But you have to like feed her too.
Yes.
You have to like actually kind of give her something to do. Right.
She is not just springing to life. It's like a plant that you're like not just going to be like, okay, the sun is hitting you. You're fine now. No.
You have to sing to the plant.
You have to sing to the plant, stroke them gently, words of affirmation, water.
We need to water ourselves.
We need to water it. But tell me about yours.
All right. So my first one is set up a reoccurring donation to a mutual aid organization near you.
I love that.
I think this is a tricky one in the sense that not everybody has a lot of extra funds to be donating. I think a lot of us are trying to be mindful about allocating a small amount of whatever extra we have. And I think that this is my only suggestion that's donating money. And I think that if you can do it through mutual aid, one of that to me feels like the most profound and direct way that you can be supporting causes and locations that you care about. So I just set up a recurring donation to an organization you had told me about actually, which was Project Relief Maine. Cool. And they do really important work and they're at risk of shutting their doors. And so when you do a monthly donation or any sort of recurring donation, even if it's a small amount, like $5, they can count on that and schedule that for plan on that for their year. And so that's actually more impactful. My understanding is that that's more impactful than one big donation.
Totally.
Because it helps with their forecasting. So setting up, recurring donation. In the past, I've also donated to mutual aid organizations that work with people with diabetes. My husband has type 1 diabetes, so that's like a cause that's close to our heart. But think about how you're currently allocating your funds that you're trying to donate and think about maybe reallocating them to some mutual aid. So that's another one took 5 minutes.
I love that. And it's just so easy and makes just such a massive impact.
Because it's really, it's like $5 that's going directly to somebody that needs it rather than kind of going through the sort of full maze of an organization, which you need sometimes.
Right.
This is, it's obviously a complex issue. But that's my first one.
I love that.
All right. What's your number 2, my friend?
Speaking of donations, one of the things I love to donate is my time. And when I have the ability to, I really love to go over to this food pantry that's nearby and I will help them make food boxes around the holidays. They're always looking for people to help with food drives. Sometimes they do clothing donations. It's kind of also similarly a mutual aid sort of organization. But there are so many organizations around this area that can use volunteers. And if you have a few hours after work or on a Saturday, it's really a great thing to get in touch with them, let them know that you'd like to be on their list for volunteers. They can reach out to you, or if they post on social media that they're looking for volunteers, slot yourself in.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I think that's one of those things that we have to just show up, right? And that's 90% of any of these types of things that we're talking about is how do you get more integrated with your community? How do you support the causes that you care about? So much of it is leaving your house, and we don't want to do that, right? No. And I think it's it's very antithetical to how we operate as humans in the year 2025 is we want to be comfy on our couch. But the reality is if you can sacrifice a little bit of that time and put yourself out there to actually physically do the work, it can make a really big difference.
Right. And if we are at the point where we want to start making these changes with our family, then your kids seeing that is really important. And there are some of them that you might be able to bring your kids. I know the food pantry, Alyssa and I both have brought our kids there before, and they can help sort the food, help put boxes together. And when I was a kid, my parents would bring us to volunteer opportunities. And it was just something that I always knew was it was important to being part of a community, is giving back. You don't just take, all of the things the community has to offer. You also give your time. And I think that's something that's really valuable to teach the next generation, as well as really take on ourselves.
I love that. That's such a good point too, that like our kids are watching. And I think that I remember being a kid and having friends' parents be like, oh, we're going to go like do a volunteer thing. And it was this big kind of production of like, we're all doing this together and it only happens once every 4 years. And like, I think building it into your life on a more regular cadence, like we have to start doing that now. Right. So like my husband and I have talked about too, like we want to start picking what are those organizations locally that we want to support. And can we start doing the groundwork like that now?
Yeah.
That way when she is old enough to help us, which also she could be old enough to help us now. That's a great point. It's like, let's just start doing it. That way she grows up seeing her parents doing this and putting their money where their mouth is. Like, I can say I'm a service-minded person, I'm a service-oriented person, but like, am I just sitting on my couch? Like let's literally right now.
Big couch.
but then the other thing too is, to your earlier point, if you're signing up for all these organizations' emails, you can really kind of keep tabs on what organizations are doing near you throughout the year. And if you're not in a place right now where you have any bandwidth to do something like that, just start keeping an eye out. Just start like following these organizations on social media, seeing what they're doing, and sort of saying, okay, that's when I'll come back to. Maybe next year. Maybe when my kid's sleeping through the night, then I'll come back and circle back to that organization.
Yeah, and it also can be fun, and like thinking about which ones really align with who you are. And people are looking for your own personal creativity or whatever it is that makes you to add to the organization. They don't want to just throw you in a line, and put on some rubber gloves. Sometimes they really want you to, donate your time as an artist or donate your expertise as a bookkeeper. There's so many things that nonprofit organizations need that is not just, standing in a line and sorting food. But if that's something you want to do as well, then that's great. The organization that I work with, there was a guy who is a carpenter and he redid the community kitchen. It's like there's so many skills that are able to be donated. It doesn't just have to be like a boring Saturday for you. It can be something that really fuels your fire.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good, like, creative way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2. So this is sort of generally, this is sort of a bigger one, but I'm trying to shift into a low/no buy mindset. Mm-hmm. So if you're not familiar with this concept, a lot of people are talking about doing like a no buy year where they don't buy anything for an entire year. Maybe they make a couple of exceptions. For me, that is not achievable, but I am trying to shift my mindset to that I pause before I buy something, and I'm really being mindful about how I'm doing that. So a couple of the things that I am doing, I'm learning how to sew, and I'm doing that as like a for fun thing.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to do this as a hobby for me, but also as a means to buy less stuff, right? So I want to be able to like make clothes. I want to be able to buy stuff at thrift stores and make it fit me or my family. And then the other thing that I wanted to just share as a quick tip as part of this is I've been doing a lot of thrifting because in my mind, that doesn't count towards the no buy. Yeah. For my personal rules, you do your rules however you want them. But
no
for
new buy.
Rules, yeah, exactly. Because it's like basically I just don't want to be putting more crap into a landfill. Mm-hmm. So like what I've been doing is I made a thrift wish list on my phone. And so anytime I like want something that I think might be at a thrift store, I put it on my list. So like the other day I wrote down I wanted another electric kettle for us to keep in the basement. And I put it on my list. And every time I go to the thrift store, I check. And they had one the other day. And I was like, hey, this thing could have just sat in a landfill. Yeah. So trying to just do a mindset shift around what you're buying, how you're spending money, and thinking about how you can do more buy nothing groups on Facebook, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I really love that you did the list. I think that's so important because sometimes you'll walk into a thrift store and you're kind of just like overwhelmed, because there's so many cool things and so many things that you weren't thinking about, that knowing what you need and what you might be looking for there is massive.
Exactly. If it's something that you don't need like urgently, put it on a list. Start treating thrift trips. If this is fun for you, if it's not fun for you, leave it. But I've started treating that as like a fun thing. When I have that urge to like spend or browse or whatever, I'll go to the thrift store and I have my list. And so I can kind of go in and out pretty quickly.
I really love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's your next one?
Okay, mine also similarly to your less waste is going to a refillery, which I know that you went with me once. It was really
Loved
fun.
it.
So just kind of reducing the single-use plastic and having dispensers, what am I talking about? Containers.
You start collecting all your little like soap dispensers and stuff.
Yep, we start collecting, we use jars from sauce and just all sorts of different things. And then you can buy lids with little pumps for just about any kind of jar. And then we've got the local refillery here. It is Replenish. It's so cute. And we honestly make a date night out of it every time. We like go around the house and we collect, the jars that we need refilled. And we're like, oh yeah, we need a little laundry detergent. And and then we have our little Replenish bag. And we also recycle plastic there, like from food packaging.
Oh.
Yes. So we are reducing our trash with that. But that's an aside. So yeah, I guess it does have to do with reducing the amount of waste, specifically by going to that refillery. So
I love that.
yeah, it's so much fun.
It's cute. Yeah, I went with you. I was intimidated because anytime I have a new shopping experience that I don't know what I'm doing, so I went with a buddy and it was great.
Yeah.
For me, what motivated me on that too is different now, because for me, it is more about I am motivated by rage and I am motivated by revenge. And so for me, a lot of the themes of what I'm trying to do here is take money away from people who might be getting it.
Yeah.
So like all of these big companies, all the Amazons, all this like you look at any of these big organizations and they're donating money to like horrible messed up stuff. And so for me, that's my motivator is like, okay, if I'm going to buy my dish soap anywhere, I would love to give it. I want that money to go to the kind, wonderful woman who runs that store.
We love you.
I want my money to go there and to stay in my town instead of going to like Jeff Bezos to be a supervillain. Like, he does not need my $5, but the city of Dover does, and like the community does. So whatever your motivating factor is, whether it's the planet or whether it's rage, harness it.
Or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Or any of another many reasons.
You can have so many reasons.
It doesn't have to be rage.
But for me, it was fun. That was a fun, cute one.
I love that one. So, okay, speaking of buying local, so food, I'm trying to buy as much food locally as I can. And now this is another one that is like definitely more expensive, right? So we have to be, I want to be very honest about that. That's not achievable for everybody, especially as groceries are just so expensive now.
Skyrocketing.
We have started making fewer trips to the grocery store to be more intentional and reduce food waste. So we are shopping almost entirely at local stores that we can get local produce. So here I go to Tender Crop, which is a farm down the road. They've got a pretty big farm store there. And instead of where previously I'd go to Aldi and I'd stock up on my toddler fruit for the week, because as everybody knows, like the toddler fruit is a line item in the budget of its own. But now we go a couple times a week, and then we don't get rid of stuff, or then we don't throw stuff out. And then the other thing I was going to mention is we also started using a local meal delivery service that works with local farms. And so that has been huge too, because I just don't have time to cook right now. Like I just, and it's not something I'm going to prioritize in my life.
Yeah.
So we found a local service that has like a kitchen, and they source all of their stuff from local farmers. And so they do all the work, all the legwork. So wherever you are, take a quick look at like community supported agriculture, or look for these types of services that might be available to you that would enable you to kind of support this type of work without having to totally break the bank, or without having to like make all of your food from scratch.
Yeah. That's massive.
So that's mine. Food. Trying to think.
I love that.
Nothing good. Stuff doesn't taste good anymore too. Like I used to be a big takeout person, and I'm really trying to cut back on that. And now even when I get it, I'm like, it doesn't. They're putting weird stuff in the nuggets. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't taste like it used to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's cheaper.
It is.
But I mean, so on the same vein.
It's kind of gross when you say it like gnarly.
Similarly, my next one was going to be that we have started buying our meat monthly from Vernon Family Farm. We'll do our monthly trip over there, stock up on what we would eat for the month. Honestly, we usually buy, more than we would need because we're buying less meat and trying to do 2 to 3 veggie meals per week, which has been great. But their meat just tastes better than anything else. So not only is the food of a higher quality, whenever we have friends over, they're like, oh my gosh, what did you put in this? I'm like, Vernon Family Farm.
I think that's a good strategy though when you're thinking about finances. It's like maybe you're spending more on the meat, but like it's better quality, and then supplement it with some more vegetarian meals.
Yeah. And before, we weren't really thinking about it. We would always meal plan. But now we're like, okay, so we've got 2 veggie meals and, 2 meat meals to prioritize. And then we kind of fill it in from there. And we always base it on our Vernon meat. We really only eat beef once a month. And it's just an incredible product. And you're supporting a community member. They also have a ton of other stuff that we always get when we go by and we go visit their animals and get to see the Vernons. And so it's just kind of like a whole experience. But that was definitely one of the ones that has been really valuable to us in the past year, is taking out just grocery store meat and buying high quality local meat and just eating less meat in general, but supporting local.
There's so many farms that have great programs like that too, that you can buy like a whole, if you are a big beef eater, you can buy like a whole cow, and then you can kind of there's so many different programs that if you spend 5 minutes Googling local farms and near you, what they offer, there's so much there that if you can really patronize a farm like that, like the way that you're able to do that, I think is amazing. Yeah. And they count on, similarly to what we were talking about with mutual aid, like they can kind of count on that. And that's important for them to keep their doors open.
Yeah.
And with like listeria and everything at the grocery stores too, I'm like, that's the other thing is like I get a little spooked right now with all the recalls. And so getting everything as locally as I can makes me feel better too.
Yeah. I had the food recall app for a little while and I had to delete it because it was just constantly going off. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy local.
Yeah.
And I can't just constantly inundate myself with what cucumbers I cannot buy.
I was getting the notifications on my watch for a little bit, and that I had to turn that off because they're horrible. They were just like 7 people dead, 4 children, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, right.
17 hospitalized.
I don't need that specific. Just tell me what cucumber I'm not supposed to eat. God, it's always the cucumbers.
The cucumbers really they did a number. I saw one broccoli, which hit close to home because I'm like
big broccoli head.
We love broccoli,
really,
and my daughter loves broccoli.
Cece too. Tonight she was eating, but she was eating the broccoli, but not her pasta. I was like, dude, can you eat the pasta, please? But she just wanted the broccoli.
Yeah,
you know what? Good for her.
I love that.
Okay, so my next one is, think about sponsoring a local business on social media. Ooh. Or becoming a brand ambassador. Just for fun. You don't have to tell them you're doing this, but pick a couple local businesses that you like a lot and start reposting, start resharing their stuff. We're in an era where it's really, really hard for a lot of these local businesses to get reach on social media, and it's so, so crucially important to them.
Yeah.
And so if you can just make a point that even if it's anytime I see them on my feed, I'm just going to like it and leave a comment. And it can just be a couple emojis, and it actually makes a difference. This is probably one of my favorite, lowest bar, the bars on the floor. It takes don't even
0 seconds.
It's so easy. But maybe just take a couple minutes and think consciously about what are my 2 or 5 local businesses that I love that I want to tell people about. Post when they're having a big sale, post when they've got an event coming up. It makes a big difference, especially your circle is local, and so a lot of your circle is local, and so those types of support really helps these small businesses.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you. I am a social media person.
She is. I
professional
recommend her to everyone.
Thanks.
Marissa.
Anyway, what's your next one?
So my next one is really, really simple as well. It is go to local community events.
Leave your house. Put on pants.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just put on the hard. They don't even have to be hard pants. You can wear soft pants out.
Yeah. They let you do that now.
They let you do that now.
That's true. That back in our day.
Yeah, you're not wearing those pajamas to school, are you?
It's changed now. You can wear pajamas to school.
You can wear them because pajamas are cuter now. No, but there are so many incredible local events going on that are put on by the local businesses or by organizations. There was one this past weekend that is a music studio that they had a nonprofit that does, music and sort of like emotional well-being with kids. And I was like, oh, that seems cool. And all of the people that were there were also really cool. And I was like, oh, well, that tracks.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
So, you're expanding your community, finding new friends in the community, especially as a parent. Being a parent can be so isolating. So when you are able to go to an event where you know that the people that are there are going to align with you on, at least the location of it, but if it also is working with a nonprofit, I mean, there are so many boxes that can get ticked. And if you go, just go. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it's fine because everybody else is also feeling like, oh, I'm nervous, like we're all human beings in 2025, just doing our best. And there have just been so many wonderful people that I have met in this past year just by showing up. And the biggest hurdle is just, like you said, like getting out the door. And so that is just one of the most massive things I can say is to just go. But also find a buddy. If you've got a friend who's a parent and they're looking to expand their community as well, or even just interested in the events, like, partner up, go with them, bring your kids together. And, having this community also that you're creating for your kids is really magical of, different ages, not just kids that are at your specific school, or maybe they're kids from a different town. I just think it is so massive for your emotional and spiritual well-being to meet other people that are in this community. And people are doing some really incredible things and that maybe you wouldn't meet at another place otherwise. So yeah.
I think especially right now, like not to sort of bring it to a darker place, but I do think that as we move into what the next sort of 4 years look like, it's going to be so important to know the people that you live in community with. Yeah. And we don't have those skills anymore. Like, I don't think we're taught those skills of like, how do you make community? And now that we're parents, we're like, I got to do that. That is all on me. And it's hard. But I think that like, as we are moving through whatever kind of things happen over the weeks and months and years to come, we need to be able to rely on the people in our community to do that. And so I think looking for those events that are alongside businesses that are sort of aligned with your values or aligned with the arts or things along in that space, it can be a great way to meet people that are kind of in your similar, feel similarly to you that you do about important things.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that one's tricky.
Yeah, that's hard.
But, together we can do it.
We'll tell this story in a longer form one day, but the way that Emily and I met was in a book club. Somebody did a Facebook post and basically in a local moms group and basically said, I want to start a book club for people who are interested in reading literature about various topics, including like LGBTQ plus issues and
POC.
Exactly. And so kind of put in some of these keywords without making it overly political, but kind of to show where our values lie. And that has blossomed into like a really incredible sort of family, extended family. But it's a little bit of a cult. But one thing is that I always say is like, we all showed up every day and we all came and said like, not every day, but every month. And then, we all said community is important. And like, it's important to me that my kid has other kids around them that and parents that we can all kind of be comfortable with each other, and it's been such a gift. But you have to go. And that first meeting, I didn't want to go. I was like, this might be so weird. I'm going to someone's backyard.
Yeah, somebody from Facebook.
Right. But you have to do those things to find people, It's really hard.
I've seen articles recently like, do we have the village anymore where you raise your children? But we have to create the village.
Yeah.
It's not just, waiting for you to sign up. And you have to show up consistently. And that's something that's been really beautiful that I've seen, is that people really want that and want to show up and are willing to emotionally be there and actually physically be there too for the other people in their lives that they are just creating this community with. And if you are looking for that, then you can find it, but you just have to make that first step.
Literally out your door.
Yeah, just gotta go.
Just get in your car. So let's see. Wait, is it my turn now?
I think so. Are we on 5?
I'm on my number 5, and we haven't had any dupes yet. There have been no dupes, so I might have to go to my number 6. But number 5, okay. I haven't done this yet, but I need to. I plan. So this is also a rage motivated one. I need to move my money out of big banks and into credit unions.
That's really good.
When you think about, when you really look at like a lot of the problems that we're facing in this country, a lot of it can kind of go back to those big banks. And I just would like my money to not be in them. So that requires me to probably get into my car and go to a credit union and like maybe go to multiple places. So that I have been putting it off. It is still on my list. This is now accountability. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
You all heard it. Now she has to do it.
So I have to do that. But I would like to take my money out of the big banks and move it into a credit union.
That is so smart. And my brain was not even remotely in the realm of thinking of that.
Thank you. I thought that was that was kind of a different one. But that one's a little bit of, I'm like these, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it clean. But F these people.
Yeah.
Just
thumbs down them.
Big thumbs down to a lot of the stuff that's happening in this.
It's going to be the screenshot for this episode.
So anyway, move your money out of big banks, and just for the sake of expediency, since it's on the same vein,
enjoy it.
We did cancel our Amazon Prime. We did that around the time of the election. Something Bezos did that was terrible. I can't remember which one it was. It was probably the Washington Post editorial that he scrapped. Something that he did to sort of make democracy die faster. And I was like, I don't want to give this man any more of my money. So I did full transparency. We switched to Target Circle, which Target is not like some beneficial, amazing company. It's not like I think Target's amazing, but just the reality of the situation, especially when you have a kid, is like you've got to buy a lot of stuff. And like sometimes you need it fast and sometimes you need someone to bring it to you. And so for us, we did some cost comparisons. Target Circle was they are morally, by my judgment framework, better than Amazon, and they kind of gave us the base stuff that we needed. So I'm trying to do low buy, but when I am buying something and it needs to be from a big box store, we'll do it through Target, and we're not doing it through Amazon anymore.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You love Target.
Yeah, I was never a big like Target mom, but I get stuff delivered. I don't know. I don't get the high on Target like some people do.
No,
I get overstimulated with the overhead lighting. It's the
same. But also as a professional organizer, you're going in, and when people say like Target tells me what I need, I'm like, no. Target's not the boss here. Stay away from that dollar section.
Yeah.
No.
I need to bring you into Target with me.
I don't go in. I make the list online.
That's smart.
And then I just do the parking lot pickup.
That's smart.
And I do that with my grocery shopping too. If I have to go to like a bigger store, because I know that if I go in, I'm going to get things that I don't need.
That's really smart. So just don't go in.
Don't go inside.
That's what I do at BJ's. We do also have a BJ's membership. I do not step foot inside because you will spend $400 and you will not know where it went.
Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh, of course I need this 45 pack of toothpaste, even though I have 75 packs at home.
Exactly. So don't go into the store.
Yeah. Leave your house, but don't go inside to those other buildings.
Just pull up outside of them and be very polite to the person who brings stuff to your car. I always talk to the BJ's people that bring stuff out, and they're like, I like get out and help them unload, and they're like, thanks. Some people, like most people, just pop their trunk and don't say anything.
Yeah.
How do you not say something to the person putting stuff in your car? Just say thank you.
I was trying to tip them at Target, and they were like, "No, we like aren't allowed to take tips." And I was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" But I'm also like, "How was your day? What's your mother's maiden name?"
Yeah, right. Because I'm like, thank you for like lugging all my stuff out here, and the fact that some people just pop the trunk is like very sad to me. But
No, it's wild.
anyway, what are your final quick tips?
So my brain is blank. The last one on my list.
You made it really far without forgetting anything.
Thank you. I have like a weirdly kind of photographic memory, which is how I was able to do theater. When I was on stage, I could see where I was on the page. Isn't that weird?
That's very cool.
I mean, it's not useful.
It is when you're in high school theater.
My one skill. The last one I wrote on my list was clothing swap.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, they're just, you were talking about thrifting, but there is also just kind of the next step of that is that there are organizations in this area that are doing, there was a sweater swap last fall. You know, people are doing these clothing swaps to reduce waste, but also making it so you don't have to buy new clothes, you know, with your body changing or with the seasons changing or your style changing. There's so many things that people are doing within the community to kind of create this fun way to reduce waste and also reduce spending.
Those are so fun. I went to one of them. I missed the sweater swap you're talking about, and I've been kicking myself ever since because every time I compliment someone's sweater, they're like, I got into the sweater swap. Like, they had some good sweaters. But I think that's also a good one. Like, if you are feeling a little bit more ambitious or you have a business or something like that, this could be a good one that's probably easy to host, especially the sweater swap. That's so simple. But the one that I went to a clothing swap. A clothing. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was picturing like. Because it kind of was like that, honestly. It's kind of what you're picturing. It's just like a bunch of feral animals going in on these piles of clothes. But it was like you'd like bring your bag in and you dumped it into this like input pile, and like volunteers sorted it out by size.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that's a relatively, if you're feeling like ambitious and want to do kind of a cool, bigger impact type thing, I've only seen those 2 around here. I wish there were more. I would definitely do like more if there was stuff like that on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. So if there's a listener who's like, oh, I want to run one of those,
we'll help.
Yeah. Send us a message.
Yeah. I'll volunteer my Saturday.
Same.
I'm a hero.
I'm just doing my job, ma'am.
Is that so? Do you remember your do you remember the one that you forgot, or is it gone forever now?
No, it was clothing swap.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one more.
No, that was it. It was just
perfect. It's a fun note to end on.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, you get to hang out and see some cool stuff. And oh, actually, no, sorry, there was another one.
I knew it.
Buy local art.
Yes.
Local artists are the heartbeat of the activist community, and buying their art supports them as individuals, and then, you know, you are getting this gorgeous art in your home.
Why am I yelling? You're doing a very like spirited commercial for local artists.
Local artists. I was like pop in sideways and be like, need art? Buy from your local artist.
There's just like an 800 number flashing along the bottom.
I kind of want it to be more like Pure Moods now, though. It's like, you can say I don't even know if Anya was on that. Sail away, sail away, sail away. All of our 90s friends know what we're talking about.
I love it. All the old moms.
All the old moms.
The old fats like us. I love that, and that actually brings me to a perfect tie-in to our beautiful. I put out a call on TikTok before we did this podcast. I was like, oh, if any local artists want to have like put something up behind us, I wanted something cool and funky and not my like boring hotel art I got on Facebook Marketplace. And so this is an amazing piece from Helianthus, in Salem, Helianthus Woodworking. I'll put their stuff in our description, but this is for sale if you want it. But this
is gorgeous.
I love it.
So detailed.
It's like it is really, really cool. It's super impressive. And they have like really awesome videos and stuff that you can look at of how they do this. But
to.
I love it. It's like our little fireside chat vibes. So that's what we're going for. It's just like a couple gals sitting around talking about life. You know, we're gonna bring on a lot of people on this show with us, give us some inspiration, things that are in this vein, right? Things that are like easy to incorporate into your life, things that aren't going to feel so overwhelming that you can never make it happen, but things that are maybe habitual that you can start building into your life, as we are just trying to build lifestyles that are more sustainable. Like with everything that's happening on the news and everything that's happening in the world, it's just making me want to like invest more in my local community, in the people around me, keep my money as close to home as I can. I think we all got really comfortable during, especially during the early days of the pandemic, just like convenience. It was all about just like convenience. And now it's sort of shifted back to where it's like, okay, this is where we're putting roots. And that means having to invest your time and invest your energy and supporting your neighbors.
Right. And it can be a broad range too. It can be from, sustainability as far as reducing waste. It can be anything from, like we just said, supporting local artists. It's just really, how do you root yourself where you are?
Exactly. Instead of buying something at TJ Maxx, for your wall, can you try to find a local artist that you love and support them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We personally at our home really loved kind of like eclectic, funky, cool, kind of political art, and so the stuff that we've gotten locally is just incredible, and I feel like we get so many compliments on it versus when you go somewhere and it just kind of looks like a doctor's office.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that supporting the people in your community that are values aligned and that are doing good work are the people that I want to give my money to and really support them. And also I want to put cool art on my walls.
Yes, I love that. We have one of my favorite pieces was I had a friend who's an artist, and I commissioned a painting of like a landscape that was really important to me. Like It was based off a bunch of like photos I had taken. And so now it's like we've got this beautiful painting. I always say people should follow their local artists on social media too, because a lot of times they'll be posting about events or things like that you might want to go to, or like they're just, I don't know, artists are cool and tapped into stuff locally. So, and they know each other. Like, I don't know, I feel like they're very tapped in. So follow those people that you like. And then, when the time comes or you have the money and you want to make a splurge, buy something for your walls.
Yeah. Especially around the holidays, they have like markets and a bunch of artists get together and you can see everything you like in one room. I'm doing it again where I'm getting way too excited.
No, I get it. There's that one of the local groups does like a event where they call it like really cheap art or something like that. And they sell like smaller pieces. And I think something like that's really cool to support.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. Support local art when you can.
Heck yeah.
So those are the kind of quick things that we're trying. We will definitely be getting more and less political depending on our guest. And we're really just going to try to give everybody some ideas for things that help you feel like you have a little bit of control. Like something that you're able to do something that has some kind of positive impact. I think it's really easy for us to all get sucked into like doom and gloom right now. And I think we have to just invest sort of in each other as much as we can and getting to know our community and keeping our money in our community. And that's our goal. That's my goal over the next couple of years.
Yeah. So if you want to feel empowered to connect with your community, to do some good in your community, and also kind of connect with your own self, then follow us because we're on the same journey.
We are. We're not experts. We're really not experts at anything. Except for organizing. She is an expert at organizing.
You're an expert at social media.
Sort of. I don't know. Everything's changing.
Experts at this.
At friendship.
That's what I meant. Damn it.
So guys, we will be back probably in a week or something. I don't know. It's day one. This episode was supposed to come out like 2 weeks ago. So we're doing our best, but we're parents. And so we know that you'll bear with us. And this has been fun.
This has been a blast. And we can't wait to see you next time for one quick thing.